High school is such a trying time. You aren't a kid anymore, but you're not quite an adult yet, and you're trying to find where you fit in the grand scheme of things. My parents died in a car accident when I was 12, leaving me to be raised by my great-aunt Myrtle. Myrtle was nice enough, but she'd never had any kids of her own, and she was a bit old-fashioned. She kept me fed, kept a roof over my head, and helped with any homework I might have struggled with. But outside of that, she didn't provide any nurturing. I was a bit on the chubby side and had mousy brown hair that had no highlights in it and always looked greasy, no matter how I washed it. That made me a prime target for bullying. Oh, I tried to duck my head and just pretend I didn't hear what they said about me, but it was hard. "Sherry, what's the matter with you?" Myrtle asked me after one particularly bad day. "Kids at school," I replied. "They're getting hard to ignore, Aunt Myrtle." "Well, you just hold your head up and keep walking," she told me, and that was that. Yeah, great advice. A group of seniors accidentally knocked me down the stairs, books and papers flying everywhere. I had baby powder dumped on my head. Oh, and someone also found it necessary to leave me a note about diet and exercise, ending the note with, "Get off your fat ass, you whale, and stop feeling sorry for yourself." If my being a fat mouse wasn't bad enough, in my junior year my face broke out, severely. I had zits on top of zits. I begged Aunt Myrtle to take me to a doctor, but she just told me God didn't think I was ugly, and neither should I, and I would grow out of it. Angry that she didn't take me seriously, didn't care that I was being bullied, I began searching the internet for anything that might help me. It was a long shot, I knew, but just maybe I could find something to tame the acne with at least. How many hours I spent in front of my laptop, browsing through page after page of useless shit, I didn't know. Right as I was about to give up, I saw a small ad on the page I was currently on. "Are you looking for the new you? Need to lose a few pounds? Or a lot? Skin conditions getting you down? Shoot us an email. We have a plan to fit everyone." I didn't even hesitate. I copied their email address and sent them a desperate, pleading letter that I would have cringed to see had I been thinking straight. I told them everything, from my aunt not caring to my peers bullying me mercilessly, leaving nothing out. When I felt like I had said enough, I hit send. Aunt Myrtle liked to have dinner at a certain time, so I went downstairs to help her. "We're having meatloaf tonight," she told me. "Great," I said, plastering on a smile. I fucking hated meatloaf. Well, I could fix myself something after she went to bed. It's what I'd done multiple times before, when what we had for dinner wasn't edible. Aunt Myrtle wasn't a cook, and I had a hard time getting her to let me fix dinner. "Sherry, aren't you going to eat?" she asked when I just picked at the tiny slice on my plate. "I'm not feeling well," I lied. "I think I'm going to lie down, Aunt Myrtle." "You better not be pregnant, girl," she stated, shocking me. "I won't have a bastard under my roof." "No boy at that school would touch me, so you don't need to worry about that," I countered angrily, getting to my feet and leaving the table to go up to my room. I closed and locked the door behind me, and then threw myself on the bed in tears. My 18th birthday couldn't come fast enough for me. If I had to, I'd live under a bridge just to get the hell out of her house. My laptop pinged then, indicating I had a message. Straightening up on the bed, I opened my email to see that I had a response to my message. "Sherry, your story broke my heart. No young lady should have to go through what you are, and that your great aunt is treating you like that is awful. I want to help you. There will be no fee. I was in your shoes once. Here is my private number. Give me a call, will you, honey? Simone." And then her number. I didn't have a cell phone, and Aunt Myrtle had a landline still. "Fuck it," I muttered, copying Simone's number down on a sheet of paper and sneaking down to the hall phone. Aunt Myrtle always watched her shows after dinner, and she listened to them fairly loud. so I thought I could get away with the call. Keeping a watchful eye toward the living room, I picked up the phone and dialed the number. "This is Simone," a low, smoky voice answered. "This is Sherry," I told her. "Oh, sweetie, I can hear in your voice how bad things are there," she said. "So, let me ask you a few questions, okay?" "Sure, anything," I replied, feeling hope bloom in my chest. She asked me how tall I was, what I weighed, when my last period was, if I was still a virgin, hair color, eye color, shoe size, allergies, favorite foods, least favorite foods, where I lived. I didn't think the questions would ever end, and Aunt Myrtle would catch me on the phone. "Who are your bullies, Sherry?" she asked then, startling me. "What are their names, dear?" Kendra Rice, Shonda Perry, Marissa Long, Brent Smallwood, Josh Silvers, and Kevin Mize, I replied. "You did wonderful, honey," she said then. "Sometimes when we start asking all these questions, people don't want to answer us. We need to know, though, in order to make sure you get the help you really need." "Yes, ma'am," I murmured. "Oh, honey, just call me Simone," she told me. "Now, my office is not too far from you, fortunately. Do you think you could get out of your aunt's house Saturday to come to my office with me? I'd like to go ahead and get you started on a plan." "I can tell her I'm going to the library and meet you there," I answered. "Aunt Myrtle doesn't care how long I stay there, and she never checks on me." "Good. I'll meet you there at 10 a.m. Hang in there, honey. It's gonna get better. I promise you that." On Saturday morning, I got up early and cleaned up the house good so Aunt Myrtle wouldn't complain about my being gone all day. I made breakfast exactly the way she wanted it, so it was ready when she came into the kitchen. "Morning, Aunt Myrtle," I greeted. "I see you're feeling better," she remarked. I nodded. "I've got a paper for my lit class, so I'm heading to the library to do some research. I'll be home before dark." "All right, Sherry, just be careful," she said. At 5 till, I was standing in the parking lot waiting for Simone to come pick me up. I had no idea what she looked like or what she drove, but that didn't matter. She knew me. A black Jaguar pulled in and rolled up to me, and the window rolled down to show the most stunning woman I'd ever seen in my life in the driver's seat. Mahogany hair and green eyes, and skin so smooth even I wanted to touch it. "You must be Sherry," she greeted. "I'm Simone. Hop in and we'll go get started." A bit self-consciously, I settled into the plush black leather seat and put my seatbelt on. Simone smiled and patted my leg, navigating the vehicle out of the lot and back onto the road. The heady scent of vanilla wafted past me, and quite without thinking, I blurted out, "You smell like a pastry." A low, throaty laugh left her throat, her green eyes crinkling up at the corners. "Oh, thank you, sweetie," she expressed, her hand lingering on my leg this time. "I tend to like scents that awaken hunger of any kind." I'd never even kissed a boy, but her hand on my leg felt nice. I relaxed in the seat, a smile on my lips as we headed for her office. She pulled into an industrial park about half an hour from the library and parked in front of a brick building that just had numbers on it. "Come on," she said, smiling. I got out of her car, following behind her, and finding that I was enjoying the view more than I expected to. Simone was a stunning woman, with legs for days. I followed her into the building and down a series of hallways until we reached what looked like a doctor's exam room. "All right, Sherry," she said, opening a drawer and pulling out several bottles, along with a syringe. "If you would, please disrobe and let me get your weight today. It's just us girls, so please don't feel ashamed." Me get naked in front of her and not feel ashamed? Right. Still, I took my clothes off and set them on the chair with my shoes and socks under it, and then got on the scales for her. 230, she noted. "Climb up on that table for me. I'm going to do an exam real quick, and then I'll explain how this works." I lied on that table while she poked and prodded at me, drew a few vials of my blood, and swabbed my mouth. But when she pulled out a speculum, I tensed up. "I promise to be gentle," she soothed, settling on the rolling stool and applying warmed lube to me. The warm lube was strange, but not unpleasant, I decided. The feel of the speculum sliding in was alien, though, and I struggled not to fight it. When she started cranking it open, I gripped the table and prayed she was right about being gentle. "Have you noticed any discharge lately, Sherry?" she asked, swabbing the inside of my vagina. "A little," I admitted. "Aunt Myrtle doesn't believe in doctors, Simone." "Your Aunt Myrtle is a bitch," she stated. "You have a bit of an infection, but that's okay. We can still start your plan today, and I'll send you home with something for the infection also." "You don't know what this means to me, Simone," I told her, feeling tears well up. "Oh, I think I do, honey," she expressed, removing the speculum. "I think I do." She let me get dressed then while she ran the tests on my blood and saliva. It didn't take that long, something I found interesting. Past experiences with blood work at a doctor's office were that it took several days. Maybe her equipment was better. "All right, let me explain how this works," she said, turning around with 2 bottles in her hand and a blister pack. "This bottle is a powder that you'll mix with water or juice and drink twice daily. This is for your weight loss. This other bottle is a face cleanser that you'll use twice daily for your acne. There are very precise directions on both that you need to follow to the letter. You also get a shot once a week for the first 3 months as an additional boost for both. That's why I had to run those tests, to make sure I didn't need to tweak anything. This blister pack is for your infection. Take 1 pill a day for 3 days, and that'll clear that up." "Wow," I said, blinking. "I half expected boxes full of stuff. I'm glad it's not. Aunt Myrtle won't notice 2 bottles." "That's why we're doing it this way," she told me then. "Now, I need to warn you, you may have some side effects. You may see an increase in appetite, and that's okay. You may have some nausea and some diarrhea as well. The facial cleanser will make you extra sensitive to the sun, so be sure to wear good sunscreen or a wide-brimmed hat. You will see results, Sherry. I promise you that." I was glad that Simone had warned me about the side effects, or I would have been worried when, at the end of the 2nd week, I became positively ravenous. It didn't make a lot of sense to me that I could eat so much and still see the numbers on the scales dropping, but I trusted Simone. By the end of the 1st month, my skin was back to normal, and I had lost 20 pounds. By the end of the 2nd month, my skin was glowing. My hair was shiny and had lost that dull mousy color, darkening to sable, and I had lost another 20 pounds. The bullies were starting to take notice too. "Oh, look! Sherry thinks she can be like us now," Shonda taunted when I walked past on my way to chemistry. "Why on earth would I ever want to be like you?" I tossed back and kept walking. At the end of the 3rd month, when I had dropped down to 170 from 230, Simone began showing me how to apply makeup, style my hair, and pick out clothes that flattered me. She took me to several boutiques that sold higher-end, second-hand clothing, teaching me what to look for when trying different things on and how to match colors and patterns. I admit, I fell in love with Simone. Yes, there was at least 15 years between us, but she was beautiful to me, inside and out. I didn't tell her, though. I was still a minor, after all. 1 year away from being an adult, but still a minor in the eyes of the law. Aunt Myrtle didn't notice anything had changed until 5 months later, when I was down to 120 and all the acne was gone, including the scars. "Well, look at you, girl," she said, beaming. "I knew you'd grow out of it." I smiled at her. "Yes, Aunt Myrtle, I did." "You look so much like your mama did when she was your age," she said then, still smiling. "Come on, let me show you some photos." "Who are you and what did you do with my aunt?" I wanted to ask, but kept silent. I liked this Aunt Myrtle a lot better than the other one. When I mentioned the change in my aunt to Simone, she smirked. People come around eventually, Sherry, she told me. If those bitches would come around, that would be great, I muttered. They're still hassling you, huh? She asked. I nodded. Now they're calling me Barbie, bimbo, plastic girl, fake. I'd like to beat their smug faces in, but I can't afford to get kicked out. You've got a dance coming up, right? She asked, her expression thoughtful. Yeah, in a couple of months. Why? Why don't I go with you? She suggested. As my date? I echoed, stunned. She looked a bit hurt. Sherry, if you'd rather I didn't. Simone, you're gorgeous. Of course I don't mind, I stated. Thank you, beautiful, she murmured. Then I remembered my Aunt Myrtle and froze. Simone, my aunt. You leave her to me, honey, and trust me. To say that I was stunned the day I came in from school and found Simone and Aunt Myrtle in the den laughing and talking would be an understatement. Sherry, why didn't you tell me about your friend? Aunt Myrtle scolded lightly. I trailed off, having no idea what to say. Aunt Myrtle just laughed at me. Simone is welcome here anytime she wants to visit. She's a delight and clearly a good influence on you. What did you do to her? I asked when Simone was upstairs with me. Simone just gave me an enigmatic smile. I'm good with people, Sherry, at getting them to see my side of things. Now, let's talk about this prom. I don't know where Simone found my dress. She just showed up with it, wearing that enigmatic smile that told me she wasn't going to answer if I asked her. It was made from pure silk, dyed so deep a red it looked like blood, and it fit me perfectly. There was a pair of heels to match, and my corsage was a black iris. My hair was done in long corkscrews, with a small section gathered up with a black jeweled clip. Simone wore a tuxedo, her long mahogany hair pulled up in a neat bun on the back of her head. She looked so young. It must have been the way she'd done her makeup. I knew she was in her early 30s, but she looked my age right then. Aunt Myrtle cried and smiled and waved us off, telling us she wanted pictures and to have a good time and she wouldn't wait up. I still wondered what happened to the old Aunt Myrtle, but I wasn't complaining any. You could have heard a pin drop when I walked in on Simone's arm. Everyone, and I do mean everyone, turned to stare at us as we made our way across the floor to sign in as a couple. Silly Sherry couldn't get a man no matter how hard she tried, so she brought a dyke instead, Marissa said, just loud enough for us to hear her. Yeah, but that's one hot dyke, Kevin countered. See, I murmured. Simone squeezed my arm, and something in her face was different now. Don't worry, Sherry. I'll handle it. We danced and mingled, and I found myself wishing the night didn't have to end. Simone was so beautiful. She was so attentive and compassionate, and she'd been so damn good to me. If only I were 18, I thought wistfully. Simone slipped off to the restroom around 10, leaving me standing with my art teacher, whom I liked. Miss Sharon was a free spirit and was nice to everyone. She had never judged me, something I appreciated. She seems to care for you quite a bit, Sherry, Miss Sharon remarked. I smiled. She does, doesn't she? Miss Sharon smiled then, a wistful look crossing her face. I had a girlfriend once, when I was your age. She was a lot older than I was. Probably old enough to be my mother if you want the truth, but I loved her dearly. What happened? I asked. Miss Sharon sighed heavily, the smile fading. I was born at the wrong time and the wrong place, Sherry. And when I was forced to give up Donna, it killed me. I never dated again. I couldn't replace what she was to me, so why try, I figured. Oh, Miss Sharon, I murmured, horrified. She smiled then, hugging me briefly. You hang on to Simone, Sherry. Hang on to her with all you've got. People like her are so rare these days. Well, when 20 minutes had passed and Simone hadn't returned, I got worried and went looking for her. She wasn't in the restroom, though, nor was she anywhere else in the gym. Your girlfriend went off with the bitches, Kevin told me snidely as I started past him to check the gym again. They went that way. Confused and a bit hurt that she'd abandoned me to go with Shonda, Marissa, and Kendra, I took off in the direction Kevin had pointed, going through the double doors that led towards the locker rooms. Our gym was weird. We had restrooms right off the gym and then locker rooms down a corridor. It seemed stupid to me, but I didn't design it. As I neared the girls' locker room, I could hear something. It sounded like someone cracking nuts. What the hell? I muttered and pushed the door open. The first thing I saw was blood. Blood everywhere. On the floor, the lockers, the ceiling even. It should have made me run screaming, but I needed to find Simone. So I kept walking around the corner. The mangled body of Marissa was the next thing I saw, lying on the tile floor in a pool of blood with her guts ripped out and half her head missing. One of her eyes moved, and I realized with horror that she was somehow still alive. What the hell did this? I wondered softly, unable to take my eyes off Marissa's ruined form. She tried to reach toward me, but all she could manage was a jerky twitch, and when she tried to speak, it was just a gurgle. A loud cracking sound was heard then in the relative silence, and I moved on around the corner. The sight that met my eyes held me rooted to the spot in disbelief. Shonda was huddled in the corner, panting and rocking, her hair a mess and her face streaked with makeup and tears. There was blood all over her, but none of it was hers, yet. Kendra, wait, let me start with Simone. My beautiful date for the night was no longer human, not exactly anyhow. Her fingers had lengthened to twice the normal length, and vicious black claws tipped each one. Her green eyes had turned pitch black. She had a pair of leathery wings that shifted and moved every so often, and she had a prehensile tail. She was eating Kendra with a mouthful of razor-sharp teeth and a long, pointed tongue that appeared to be barbed like a cat's, only more so considering a lick pulled flesh away. I stood mesmerized, watching her eat Kendra with methodical yet dainty precision. I watched as the blood ran down her chin onto the floor to pool, the way her throat worked with every piece swallowed, the way she held Kendra's body in those long, long fingers. Seeing me standing there, she stopped abruptly to give me a nervous look. Sherry. Oh my God, you're beautiful, I murmured, going over to her. My hands ran over those leathery wings, finding them soft to the touch and warm. Feeling that prehensile tail wrap around my leg, I stroked it next. You're so beautiful, Simone. Why did you hide this from me? Simone smiled, full of needle-sharp fangs. I wasn't sure about you at first, but I took the risk anyhow. I've been injecting you with my DNA, Sherry. I want you as my mate, she told me then. Would you care to join me for a snack? I smiled, feeling things shift inside me. Oh, yes, I murmured, turning to Shonda with eyes that had gone black. Yes, I will join you, Simone. Humans don't taste like chicken, by the way, but they're still delicious.